Hey everybody, it is Wedding Wednesday. I'm Jeremy with Flamingo Event Service. We are your award-winning DJ, photo booth, uplighting, and officiant service to help make your wedding day amazing. Uh, Wanted to talk about a little bit this Wedding Wednesday about a topic that came up a little while ago in a Facebook group that I follow. It was a bride that was asking vendors what, in our opinion, are the top things that brides and grooms waste money on their wedding day that they can do without. And I just kind of stopped and I thought, I'm like, wow, that's a great question. And so I put together my top five list. Um, but I decided, maybe there's more than just my opinion. So I bounced it off my wife, and I bounced it off of my top assistant. He has been with me for about 9 years now, doing weddings with me. He also was recently married. He got married about 2 years ago. So it's kind of fresh in his mind from the planning process, more fresh than it is in mine, having gotten married 16 and a half years ago. And obviously, trends have changed in the last 17 years. So I got his list, I've got my list. Let's go through them both. Now, a disclaimer before I start going through these lists. This is our opinions. These are things that we have seen as wedding vendors throughout the course of the years. And as I said, he was recently married. You can disagree with anything on the list, and that's completely fine. These are your wedding is your day, as I tell all my couples. The only rule on your wedding day is that you say "I do." The rest is all the details that is up to you that you plan. Just kind of some thoughts to keep in mind, and just maybe because everybody else does it doesn't mean that you have to do it. So, the best advice I can offer anybody who's starting to plan for their wedding is before you start spending money on anything, sit down, talk about what's most important to you, and actually write it down in a list. Make your priority list so that you know. So when this really cool thing over here comes up, you can say, well, does it fit into our list? Where does it fit into? If the venue is your top, if the food is your top, if entertainment is your top, if flowers are your top, photography, find out where everything ranks. What's most important to you? Because those things that are at the top of your list are going to dominate your budget. And the lower it is on the list, it's something that you can probably do without. So that said, here's the list and just a couple thoughts about each as we go. The first thing he says, open bar for sure. Waste of money. Okay. And I can't say that I disagree with him on that. I would say that in the Midwest, at least the weddings that we have been a part of, I would say open bar is something that doesn't happen a lot. I would say far more we are seeing brides and grooms uh, doing kegs of beer. They'll buy two kegs of beer, maybe they'll buy a case of wine, maybe they'll do a signature cocktail. Something along those lines is what they're doing for their wedding versus an open bar. And I think that ends up being fine, being a cash bar for mixed drinks and some of that kind of stuff. And everybody wants to have a drink or two and relax and let loose a little bit, but too much of a good thing is not necessarily a good thing. So, open bar was his first one. Second one, plated meals. And I can definitely see that plated meals are obviously more expensive than a buffet style meal. And it also cuts down on people's choices. Generally, you will, on your RSVP card, mark down whether you want the chicken or the beef or the pork or the whatever the choices are. And then they put that and plop down a plate in front of you. And, a lot of people eat everything, but obviously there's plenty of picky eaters out there that, maybe they don't care for the green bean almondine, or maybe they don't care for the carrots, or maybe they don't like the potatoes, or when you have a plated dinner, you're going to waste more food and you're going to pay the same amount for it regardless. No, buffet style, you're still probably going to pay because you're going to pay for what they prepare with your final count. Um, but you're probably not going to waste as much food going that way. And generally speaking, buffet style dinners are over more quickly. The flow of people going through is a little bit faster. Uh, his next one, number three, big bridal parties. And I've definitely seen the trend go from really big, and we're getting down where, by and large, we're getting to be more intimate, where we're three, four, five aside, kind of what used to be an average size wedding party. I know a wedding we did about 5 years ago. I think there were 12 on each side, so 24 plus the bride and groom. And those big wedding parties just get to be to try to coordinate everybody in their schedules, and kind of part of everybody standing up with you is that it's a close group, tight group knit of friends that are all there for you and that you enjoy spending around. You've got 24 attendants. It's difficult to spread yourself around or be truly be a part of that group, I think. Number four, bridal party gifts. Um, they are something. I mean, I know we did it. I think we did something at All Things Remembered or whatever. Some engraved flasks or something, pocket knives. You're doing something special. Um, and I know I got a flask for I had a friend that got married a month before me. I was in his wedding. I got a very nice flask. I couldn't tell you where it was. Um, there's something that's cool, but oftentimes gets tossed aside and lost or tossed in a drawer, or it's just not something that's used on a regular basis. My recommendation, if you want to do something financially towards your bridal party, maybe you pay for a portion of their tux or their shoes, or on the women's side, perhaps you're paying for hair or makeup or putting money towards something like that. I feel like that might be a better use of that money rather than the bridal party gifts. And number five, and I'll admit that this isn't something that I had control over when I got married, and it might not be when you get married either. But inviting every family member ever is how he put it. Um, and that's, with anything, I know my mother gave me a list of, well, you have to invite this person, and you have to invite them, and you have to invite these people. And it comes to, I don't know who that person is. I know I've heard you tell a story about them, but I wouldn't know them if I passed them on the street. So why am I inviting them to my wedding? Especially when the more people you invite, the higher catering costs get. So um, there are benefits to having a more intimate group that are there to celebrate with you. So with no further ado, here comes my list of five. And again, my opinion, you can disagree with them, but take them for what they are. Number five, save the dates. When I got married 16 and a half years ago, they weren't a thing. There was no such thing as a save the date. We sent out an invitation, people RSVP'd, and everybody showed up to my wedding. Now it's become, oh, you have to send a save a date out 3 months in advance, 3 months before you send your invitation out. That's great for the printing industry. Um, but by and large, most people, I get them from couples, from family members that are getting married and such. I open them up and say, "Oh, cool, they're getting married," and then I toss it aside. Every once in a while, it makes it up the refrigerator, but most of the time, it gets tossed on a counter and under a pile of stuff, and you forget you got them until the actual invitation comes. Um, I would say, by and large, if you are getting married locally, where it's 2 hour drive or less for most of your guests to get there and back, something that they're going to drive there and drive back home in the same day, you don't need to save the date. Just the regular invitation will do. They will make arrangements. If they're going to come, they're going to come. 3 months more advance notice is probably not going to change whether or not they come. Now that said, if you are getting married out of state, or if you've got families that are from long distances away, send a save the date. If it's something where they're going to have to book a flight, or they're going to have to make sure that they've got hotel reservations for a couple of days in order to come to your wedding, send a save the date. But for most local events, I don't think it's particularly necessary. Another big money waster, number four, chair covers. They are the in vogue thing now. They come in an array of different colors to match just about any decor. And they are probably one of the biggest things that no one will remember from your wedding day. I would say that unless your venue has chairs that look like they came out of an 80s or 90s style high school cafeteria, there's something that you can skip. Most places have very nice chairs, either a black or a neutral color chair that's padded. That'll work just fine for your wedding. Most people will not pay any attention to it, and chair covers is someplace that you can save some money. Number 3, programs for your ceremony. And I'll say this is one of the ones that I struggle with when I said it because I believe that it is a waste of money, but I enjoy having them when I sit down at a ceremony. It's nice to be able to look at it and to see it. But I can tell you, as soon as the ceremony is over, it's folded in my pocket or in the garbage can or on the floor, which is where you see most of your programs. Even 16 and a half years ago, I got married. I guarantee I can go out into my garage, and I'm almost positive that I still have a box out there with candles and with a stack of programs from our ceremony that we did that nobody took that are now collecting dust. Um, they are nice to have, but there are other options. I've seen some nice things on Pinterest where you do a chalkboard at the end of the aisle that has all the information written on it. If you still insist on, well, we really would like to have a program, think about making it yourself. It can be a single sheet. You can create it yourself on uh, a Microsoft Word or Publisher, or even in a Google Doc. Either print it yourself or take it to an Office Depot or Office Max and have it printed on a nice, heavier, nice stock of paper, um, and save yourself some money that way rather than going through the process of having it done at an actual printer. Number 2, crazy big cakes. We've all seen them. They're all over Pinterest. You see them on the wedding shows out there, the big, gorgeous, ornate cakes. You see them on, you watch Cake Boss or any of those shows on the Food Network where they're making really big cakes. They're great. They're awesome. They're also very expensive. And okay, Jeremy, I still want one. They're expensive. But I can tell you, being one of the last ones at pretty much every wedding, being the DJ, come 10:30, 11 o'clock, you know how many trays of cake I've seen just dumped into the garbage because they were cut, plated, and no one ate them? The answer is a lot. And say a lot of cakes end up in the garbage can at the end of the night. That's something you're spending a huge chunk of money on. Cakes like that, start at 300 plus and go up from there. Um, and you're going to watch it get thrown away. So an option might be to look at, if you want kind of a great centerpiece cake, maybe look at talking to a baker who can do a faux cake, a styrofoam wrapped in fondant, can be decorated, kind of however. And then the actual cake you're eating is maybe a sheet cake from a Sam's Club or Walmart actually makes some fantastic cake. There are other options rather than going with the traditional great big cake. Number 1, and it's been kind of the cheesiest one for as long as I can remember. I know I don't even remember what we did for them, but guest favors. We got to give our guests something for coming. We've got to spend money on this cool personalized can koozie, or we need to give everybody a packet of seeds and ask them to go plant a tree for us. The concept is cool. You're giving something kind of personalized to your guests. It's kind of fun, but most of the time they either don't make it out the door of your venue to get home, or when they do get home, again, there's something that gets tossed on a counter in a junk drawer off to the side, gets left in the car, you kind of forget about. Um, they're just something that I feel like people spend a lot of money on, and probably it's kind of not that great return on investment. Here's my shameless plug. When we're talking about guest favors, one of the things I generally tell people is, maybe skip the guest favors and put that money towards a photo booth. At that point, your guests are getting something tangible. They're getting photo strips of their fun. You guys, as the couple, are getting copies of all of those pictures in a digital format that are yours to use to do whatever you would like with. And it's kind of, you're getting something back on it rather than just here's a can koozie that has our name and our date on it. Something fun that people can look back on for years. I always tell people that, they're used to, maybe you break out the copy of the pictures that you took at the next Christmas to say, hey, do you remember when you wore that wig and you went into the photo booth and you did that, or kind of that kind of stuff. So that's my 5. What do you think? Do you have a 5? If you do, Put them down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you think if you're recently married. That were your biggest things that you wish, gosh, I would have spent that. I wish I would have spent that money on something else. Um, and if you disagree with my list, let me know why you disagree with it. So, as I said, sit down with your fiance, prioritize what's most important to you, and that'll help you decide what you're going to spend money on. When you're ready to talk about your wedding day entertainment, feel free to give me a shout out. I would love to talk to you and hear your ideas and your visions for your wedding and let you know how we can help make your wedding day amazing. So, everybody, have a great wedding Wednesday. We'll see you soon.